Welcome back. A powerful earthquake hit Iran near its border with Pakistan a short while ago. According to the US Geological Survey, the 7.8 magnitude tremor struck at a depth of about 120 kilometers. Iranian state TV says at least 40 people died in the quake. Still no breakthrough yet, as union groups and contractors held more talks today to try to end a strike by dock workers. As Evelina Leung reports, unionists are now preparing to step up the industrial action.
Striking dock workers cheered on as Confederation of Trade Unions representatives attended another round of negotiations this afternoon. Unionist Stanley Ho said the contractors are willing to offer concessions over allowances and bonuses, but the two sides are still at loggerheads over pay. So Ho warned dock workers may step up their campaign in the next 24 hours if their demands are not met. This morning, representatives from two other union groups, the Federation of Trade Unions and the Federation of Hong Kong and Kowloon Labour Unions, also held a meeting with the contractors. Both groups accused their employers of lacking sincerity. Zhang Ping-Fat of the Federation of Hong Kong and Kowloon Labour Unions said the contractors didn't make a clear promise over pay, so they would not accept it right now. Contractor Everbest Port Services urged striking workers to be more realistic, but said there's always room for concessions. Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying said today his government would try its best to mediate. Evelina Leung, TVB News.
The government met with representatives of the poultry trade today to discuss how they would deal with an H7N9 outbreak if it came to Hong Kong. Etienne Lamy-Smith has more.
As H7N9 cases keep appearing on the mainland, representatives from the poultry industry, including wholesale, retail, transport and chicken farmers, met with Food and Environmental Hygiene Department officials this morning. From last week, the government began stepping up random checks of live chickens from the mainland at Man Kam To. Trade representatives are satisfied with the arrangements and believe it's an adequate level of protection. At the Legislative Council meeting, they also discussed how to prevent and control a possible outbreak among live chickens. Secretary for Food and Health Ko Wing-man said if any H7N9 or H5 virus is found in chickens here, there could be partial or complete culling of birds, and live poultry trading in Hong Kong would be suspended. Chicken farmers say since the H7N9 outbreak began, the chicken trade here has been suffering.
The
supply of live chickens from China has dealt a blow to our business, even though the supply has been reduced to 3,500 from 7,000 a day. But still, local chickens actually are not doing a good trade. The situation is really serious. Yesterday, nobody wanted our local chicken, locally bred chickens, even though they're sold at a very low price.
Etienne Lamy-Smith, TVB News.
A male to female transsexual person's legal battle to marry continued at the Court of Final Appeal today. As Stephanie Wong reports, the city's top court will hand down its judgment at a later date.
It was the second day of the hearing at the Court of Final Appeal over the rights for the appellant known as W to marry. W was born a male and underwent a sex reassignment surgery in 2008. Monica Kars-Frisk, for the Registrar of Marriages, argued that in laws surrounding rape and sex discrimination, it was not clear that W would be regarded as female. She stated that the interpretation of constitutional rights must be informed by societal attitudes in Hong Kong. And there is so far no evidence to suggest that a consensus has been reached on a different concept of marriage. The court also must not abdicate responsibility when it comes to constitutional rights, but it must be careful not to plug the gap and enter into a legislative exercise. She also reiterated that procreation is an essential aspect of marriage, which W will not be able to do. And the fact that lack of consummation is a ground for annulling a marriage in Hong Kong proves there's a connection between procreation and marriage. David Panic, for the appellant, responded that it would be absurd for W not to enjoy protection in law against rape and sexual discrimination. The government itself has recognized W as a woman through her identity card and passport. He also pointed out that there are many who marry who adopt children or who have children without marrying, and so the idea that the essential function of marriage is procreation really bears no relation to the real world.
Both sides completed their submissions today, and the Court of Final Appeal will hand down its judgment at a later date. One of the lawyers for W mentioned that given the complicated nature of this case, it may take a longer time for the judges to reach a decision. Stephanie Wang, TVB News.
The vice chairman of the League of Social Democrats, Avery Ng, is a free man tonight after he was found not guilty of causing a public nuisance in connection with a protest during then-President Hu Jintao's visit to Hong Kong last year. The court heard Ng through a T-shirt bearing a picture of late mainland activist Li Wangyang at Hu's motorcade. The T-shirt carried a message demanding a probe into Li's death. At the Tsuen Wan Magistracy this morning, the magistrate ruled that the prosecution was unable to provide enough evidence to substantiate the charge. All right then, Chris, over to you for sports.
Thanks a lot, Dee. And we begin with the NBA, where the Miami Heat downed the Cleveland Cavaliers to win their second last game of the season without the big three in the